Hello there, so Beth just dropped a new combat balance notes to see what we agree or disagree with. Since it is a focal point of my channel, let me talk about it a little bit. Okie dokie, let's begin. Manual aim improvements. We've made changes to all ranged weapons to improve players' ability to hit targets outside of V.A.T.S. Those are smaller cone of fire, reduced recoil, additional shots can be fired before reaching peak recoil. Cone of fire now increases less as a result of moving. Okay. Reduced cone of fire while crouching sneaking. Reduced cone of fire while aiming down sights. Spin up weapons such as the minigun and Gatling laser now have reduced recoil after firing for a short period of time. Reduced camera movement for many weapons actions in first-person view. This includes firing, reloading, and post-fire actions such as bolt action animations. Okay. Medium and long scopes have additional zoom levels. Press the V.A.T.S button to toggle between 2 or 3 zoom levels, depending on the scope. So basically Beth wanna adjust recoil and accuracy depending on our position. If we crouch, we can be more precise, if we move, we can be not. And it is fair. I totally agree with different zoom levels. I don't agree with spin up delay, cause it should be literally a very short time. In my book, all heavies should have a crazy ass recoil if we are standing, less if we are inside power armor, and very acceptable if we crouch. Automatic rifles are fine. Well, logically speaking, 5.56mm should have less recoil than .45. I'd say there is no difference between 10mm pistol and assault rifle when both use automatic receiver. So maybe Beth should adjust recoil depending on caliber we are using and let us chamber different types of ammunition with different characteristics. For example, armor piercing, incendiary, hollow points that reduce armor penetration but does more damage. Something like that. And of course I would make different mobs way tougher to one damage type and way weaker to another. That is how Pyro-Cryo gonna make some sense. Legendary enemies should be tougher depends on the amount of stars. Push maximum level up to 500 and scale up their resistances according to their level. So if we just sum up here, recoil and fire cone are less of our concern when we are comparing aiming down sight with freaking auto aim. Here Beth wanna adjust accuracy and recoil depending on a weapon class, which is not exactly the best way to do it. I'd go with caliber, stabilized versus true receiver dilemma, and weight of a particular weapon. Maybe we should get some bonus for using weight reduction legendary modification, for a weapon, not just effect, cause it would not be fair. Or maybe the recoil bonus magnitude should be different for perk, like bare arms, for armor legendary modification, and of course for weapon legendary modification. Explosive launcher's recoil is kinda funny here, there is almost none in real life if we are talking about missile launcher. Well, it happens due to third Newton's law. Every action has an opposite reaction of the same magnitude. Laser webs should have no recoil. Plasma, yes, I think, cause something ballistic is coming out. But again, it's highly debatable. .50 caliber should give the most epic recoil in Fallout 76. And yeah, I guess we have to be able to chamber it with assault rifle, for example. It can eat condition fast if you want, crazy ass recoil, freaking huge cone of fire. The damage should be way higher. Okie dokie, we are done with free aim adjustments. Now let's talk about V.A.T.S. The formula for calculating hit chances in V.A.T.S has been rewritten to be more consistent and intuitive. Overall, hit chances with most weapons will be higher. Distant, smaller and more difficult enemies will sometimes be harder to hit. Here's how it just works. The formula begins with an assumption of max hit chance 95%. Various factors reduce your hit chance, such as distance to the target, visibility of the target, difficulty of hitting each of the target's body parts, your weapon's range, cone of fire, recoil, fire rate, etc. Perks, weapon mods, etc. can improve each of these factors or directly increase your hit chance. Perception reduces some of the penalties of a large cone of fire and long distance to the target relative to your weapon's maximum range. Beyond about half of a weapon's range, hit chance steadily decreases to 0%. Below about half of a weapon's range, penalties to hit chance are reduced. As you close in on point-blank range, hit chance will increase until you have a very high chance of hitting the target. Additional V.A.T.S changes. Players can no longer target body parts on the opposite side of enemies, such as the ultra-genetic shield generator through the front of the EN06 Guardian. The distance to target calculation for large enemies now begins on the outer bounds of the creature rather than the center of the creature. This improves hit chance for many large creatures, such as the Scorched Peach Queen. Well, the first additional change is a nerf, the second, I don't know, we gotta see the difference actually. Puppy Hulk probably will show us. Speaking of new V.A.T.S formula, if I understood correctly, basically we have 95% and a reduction multiplier. That would be something between 1 and 0 depending on the range, and other stats affect this chance reduction multiplier. Enhanced legendary mode is additive to awareness perk, and altogether probably affect base 95% chance multiplicatively. Perception reduces reduction multiplier, or something like that. The current state of V.A.T.S mechanic is not bad because we have a low hit chance. It is bad because of no register of damage, even if we see number above enemy's head. Personally, I would severely nerf concentrated fire and make the current V.A.T.S probability not increasing because of this perk. Yeah, it should depend on range, visibility and other stuff. But 95% of you will dislike my opinion via button, so I said nothing. Next up, explosion changes. Adjusted many player weapon explosions so they lose less damage towards the outer edge of the explosion. Made adjustments to the Fatman experimental Nerf and frag grenade Nerf explosions to have a wider spread for the Nerf projectiles. Fire arrows no longer have an explosion that causes nearby targets to catch fire. Increased the damage dealt by explosive arrows. Explosion force reductions. We've reduced the impact force of many explosions so they no longer push corpses and objects as far. We've also made adjustments so the impact force of certain explosions was more appropriate to the size and scale of each explosion. Speaking of explosion force reductions, I would not change it cause it's more like about stupid physics represented in Bethesda games since Oblivion. Of course it is just my opinion, I'm fine with any outcome cause to be honest I don't care at all. First we need a penetrative wave through terrain and not fully functional walls, like new Canade style but not that harsh. Small trees or bushes should not protect anything from explosion blast, only functional walls. The second change is related to grenades going through terrain. It is stupid and makes me angry, like a very angry something. Explosive size adjustments. This data is not useful. Beth should list a radio of explosion changes from 40 feet to 60 and so on. Additional explosion adjustments. The first one doesn't matter. Well, here reduced the frequency of grenades, mines and explosive weapon ammo in containers and enemy loot. Damn! Increased the crafting cost of Nuka and Nuka quantum grenades. Double damn! How about you allow us to place more than 2 mines? That would be epic. Now it's time for weapon-based damage changes. Somehow they nerfed 50 cal instead of actually buffing it up, but in general base damage is higher, or way higher. Black powder magic became even more insane, melee got stronger, pistols got stronger, shotties got stronger, grenades and mines got way stronger, and throwables like knives, tomahawks are just epically stronger. Anyhow, we need to check new perks, how everything works together, and how enemies respond to these changes. Well, you probably know that I live by calculator, die by calculator, but in this case, I just see numbers without understanding the final result. And it looks like indeed heavies are being nerfed, because I see a light machine gun that does 37 base damage. And this looks sad, cause it is better to have sucky buffs, but good base damage numbers, so stuff like crits or sneak attacks can give us something to work with. Well, of course I still did not get to the perks for heavies, but for me personally, damage outcome should be logically explained. By the way, if you want me to test something from this long list, tell me in the comment section. I'm gonna pick something from the first 3 comments. And it's better to be heavy, cause as for now I just don't understand WTF is going on. My suggestion is to give weapons different types of damage by default, and create like different setups that can be used against specific mobs. So even a rolling pin can be extremely useful against something. Oh, look at this dragon, the dragon, 1145 base damage. Damn! And here we have tomahawk, 506 instead of 100, 5 times stronger. Additionally, we have additional weapon damage changes. Thrown weapons such as throwing knives, fragmentation grenades, ship squatch wheels and mines now scale with player level up to level 50. Weapons which have a hold to charge, Gauss weapons, or wait to charge, sniper lasers now display their uncharged damage in the Pip-Boy and inspect menus, rather than their fully charged damage. Weapons which can be fired in a partially charged state and have an explosive projectile, primarily Gauss weapons, will now have their explosion damage scaled to the amount of charge. The Gauss Mini now gains increased damage when being fired for prolonged period of time, peaking at plus 60% bonus damage. And the bladed weapons now include a bleed physical damage over time effect. By the way, Gauss Mini was a little bit buffed, rifle and pistol nerfed, and shotty epically buffed. Of course we have no heavy gunner perks, so I'm not sure if Gauss Mini became stronger, but it is OP right now, so maybe we will be fine anyways. I always charge up Gauss webs for the best damage outcome, so these changes are not super important for me. Sniper lasers have been tested and I saw no difference in damage numbers, so I don't understand this wait to charge mechanic. If it actually works, let me know in the comment section please. And of course I'm super happy for bladed weapons now include a bleed physical damage over time effect. Now please make this bleed physical damage over time effect interesting or viable to use. Thrown item weight adjustment. New grenades became heavier, 0.85 instead of 0.5. Reverse this crap, I do not agree. Weapon bash damage has been increased, including for minigun. Not sure if it affects Shredder. I would completely rework the mechanic, and instead of damage number, I want to see something else like staggering. Basically, you bash someone and it stays there, thinking about what TF just happened. Speaking of numbers here, the highest belongs to missile launcher, 135. Not sure if someone cares. Once again, I'd rather have an enemy without action for 5 seconds. Some sort of freezing effect. Of course, the duration depends on the weight of your pew and size of the enemy. Weapon ranges. I wish Beth could show us the actual changes. But anyhow, we care about range when we have our weapon fully modded. They reversed out of range damage multiplier, so it's back to 10%, and this sucks. Weapon AP cost. In some cases, we'd better have it as high as possible, cause number cruncher can be epically uber powered. For auto melee they doubled the price, which kinda sucks, but rejuvenators should get it covered. Other melee webs now have it reduced, but did Beth actually fix 0% probability in V.A.T.S when we are right in front or behind of our target? I don't know. Sneak bonus has been changed for melee, launchers and some other weapons. Epically for melee, I would say, and it should be quite impactful for your bloody sneaky build. Probably now it's more efficient than Thorough Goo if you are not using power attacks. But the problem stays the same. Melee in shooter is a no for most of the player base. Critical hit bonus repeats the story of sneak bonus. We have changes for melee, launchers and a few more guns like Black Powder Rifle or Alien Blaster. I wonder if they fixed the bug that could prevent auto melee webs from performing crit attacks. That was bad. By the way, this gameplay is pure fun. Strongly recommended. And here is the exact reason why checking the difference in range, AP cost and other stuff is kinda pointless without actually trying everything together. We have updated weapon mods. Someone ever used stub barrels? Anyone? No? Well, here it says, now make a weapon easier to use while moving at short range. Increased minimum cone of fire, reduced maximum cone of fire, increased minimum recoil, reduced maximum recoil, less AP cost, faster transition to aiming down sights, faster draw speed. While medium and long barrels do opposite, but the damage is everything, so they have to make stub barrels more interesting to use. Something like 20% extra damage to close enemies. Then we have weapon scopes and sights. Glow sights now increase V.A.T.S accuracy and reduce a weapon's AP cost by 20%. Front sight rings now make a weapon more precise while aiming and reduce the weapon's maximum cone of fire. Personally, I use reflex sight for everything, or I just don't aim down sight at all. But the point being is to have scopes or sights for more aesthetic purpose rather than something functional. So I'd prefer to move all these extra changes in action point cost or V.A.T.S accuracy to barrels, receivers, etc. Muzzle mods. Compensators now reduce a weapon's initial recoil and greatly increase the amount of shots that can be fired before reaching maximum recoil. Muzzle brakes reduce a weapon's minimum and maximum recoil and reduce the amount of lateral movement from recoil. Along with reducing the volume of each shot and slightly reducing recoil, suppressors now grant a 50% bonus to sneak attack damage, which is great. So here I have no idea why I should use compensator or muzzle brake if suppressor means more damage. In this case, what I would do is greatly increase range with muzzle brake and compensator, cause both of them do not decrease power of your shots. In Fallout 76 they do, because less range means less damage. Surely there must be a reason to use something else apart of the best modification. Bleed, fire and poison mods. Changes have been made to fire and poison mods to offer better damage over time. We've also made changes to some of these mods to convert more of their original damage to fire or poison. Mods that add blaze to weapons now more consistently have a bleed physical damage over time effect. The damage from this effect has been greatly increased. Well, sounds great on paper, but we will see how it works in real life. Let's move to receivers. Mods which change the ammo type of a weapon have been modified to better reflect the increase or decrease in ammo strength. Stronger ammo will typically have higher AP cost, lower durability, and be harder to control in manual aim. Wait a minute, does it mean we can chamber .50 caliber in my assault rifle? Because this is exactly what I want to see in Fallout 76. But okay, weaker ammo will typically have lower AP costs and be easier to control and maintain. Now the choice of which ammo to use on a weapon is more about whether you want a more comfortable, lower maintenance experience with a weaker ammo type, or instead push the weapon further with stronger ammo at the cost of increased difficulty of use and more expensive maintenance. Similar to ammo type conversion mods which use a stronger ammo type, hardened receivers now have additional recoil and higher AP cost. Critical receivers now also increase a weapon's AP cost. So basically it sounds like they wanna do exactly what I was talking about in the beginning of my video. That is funny. Well, ladies and gents, as for now I fully support this idea. More damage, good. Stocks and bayonets. Paired with damage increases on the weapons themselves, switching from a grip to a stock or adding a bayonet or both will greatly improve bash damage. Great, but I bash only with Shredder. Prime receivers. Prime receivers have been modified to be vastly more powerful, but overall more expensive to use. Not only will players need to more actively seek out ultra-sight ammo, see the ammo changes section below, but weapons with prime receivers will be a bit harder to handle than before. The major changes for prime receivers are as follows. Plus 100% bonus damage instead of plus 25, this is epic. 20% longer range, great. Plus 25% AP cost, nice for number cruncher. Higher recoil and maximum cone of fire, don't care. 10% slower rate of fire, this sucks. What about semi-automatic to automatic weapon mods? In addition to the earlier base damage, sneak damage and V.A.T.S critical attack damage, changes from the Gone Fusion update. Automatic mods for semi-automatic weapons also have the following changes relative to the unmodded weapon. So we have 30% higher ammo capacity, nice, reduced range, sucks, increased weight, don't care, reduced durability, kinda don't care, increased value, okay, and higher maximum recoil and cone of fire. Well, ladies and gents, automatic rifles are great, semi-automatic became way stronger, and I'm actively loving Bethesda for all these changes. Prime receiver is too overpowered in my book. We're gonna check ammo changes of course, but I have a lot of ultra sight ammunition already in my ammo box, like you do probably. More changes. Changed a duplicate automatic .38 receiver for the pipe gun to instead be an automatic .45 receiver. Okay? Fixed an issue where laser and plasma weapon mods which added fire damage only had fire damage over time, instead of also having the fire damage on hit. Okay. Damage from sniper charging mods on laser weapons has been greatly increased. Nice, as suggested by the way. Bonus damage, armor penetration, increased limb damage, bleed damage, etc. from heavy barbed bladed, spiked, puncturing, and other mods on melee weapons is now applied much more consistently relative to the mod's name and appearance. Okay. Personally here I'm happy for sniper charging mods on laser weapons being greatly increased. This is epic, but by how much? I wanna know. Okay, now ammo changes. The light machine gun LMG now uses .45 instead of .308 caliber. Well, more appropriate would be 5.56. I mean, historically LMG wasn't chambered with .45 caliber, but yes, 5.56mm. Of course, the real version of what we have in the game uses .308 caliber. And in this case, I would just make this type of ammo easier to craft. Why not? Now let's see about Gauss weapons and 2mm electrically charged. We've made a few changes with the goal of easing the high ammo cost of using a Gauss minigun. The crafting yields and contextual ammo drop rates for 2mm EC ammo have been increased. Gauss pistol now uses 2 ammo per shot and has an 18 round clip. Gauss rifle now uses 3 ammo per shot and has a 15 round clip. Gauss shotty now uses 5 ammo per shot and has a 40 round clip. Well, this just sounds pointless, I would say. I don't understand why. But I have 1 million of ultra sight 2mm electrically charged ammunition, so I will be fine. What about you? Tell me in the comment section. Now the mystery of ultra sight ammo. As mentioned above, prime receivers are now much more powerful. Ultra sight ammo is now geared towards being specialized ammo that players use when they need a large boost in firepower over regular ammo. Ultra sight ammo is no longer included in contextual ammo drops, instead you'll receive randomized ammo. Sounds stupid. Red storms and glowing creature changes. In order to increase the availability of materials used for crafting ultra sight ammo, we've made the following changes. Red storms are slightly more common across Appalachia. Okay, understood. This for crafting ultra sight ammo. Okay, I don't like red storms. What about you? Tell me in the comment section. I prefer to not have them. Now we have miscellaneous combat changes. Addressed an issue where limb damage to enemies wouldn't correctly scale with player level. The auto axe and chainsaw attack speeds have been reduced from about 27 hits per second to 14 hits per second. These weapons should no longer differ in attack speeds between first and third person views. Reduced the impact of lag on the rate at which the V.A.T.S critical attack meter fills. Situations where the player would fill the meter in 2 hits will now be closer to 3-4 shots. Ha 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 ha. So, ladies and gents, V.A.T.S crit builds have been nerfed. It's fine by me, but I wish there would be another way to make this gameplay less efficient and more in line with free aim pro skill shooting. Explosions from new grenades no longer ignore line of sight. Damn! No, why? No. Okay. Reduced the damage of the box syringes so players are less likely to kill smaller targets? Yeah, that was fun. Sneak damage is now multiplicative instead of additive, meaning sneak attacks can hit much harder than before. Nice. Adjusted the range and flight characteristics of the first zapper, nuka mod projectiles. Increased the speed of the baseball grenade projectile. Go Feral accuracy reduction now reduces V.A.T.S hit chance to 30% in addition to the unchanged 300% cone of fire increase. Bonus limb damage from twisted muscles no longer works with ranged weapons, and I didn't know that. Okay. Twisted muscles now reduces V.A.T.S chance by 30% in addition to the unchanged 50% cone of fire increase. Vulcan Power Armor Jimbo Bracers mod has been nerfed. Damn. Well, personally I'm quite happy that sneak bonus has been buffed like that. Meaning we can be super effective with human melee characters and your auto axe has been nerfed to ashes. No, I mean obviously it is not good, but we have a balance between ghouls and humans in this regard. But stealth gameplay is way stronger than non-stealth gameplay. Here balance is effed up actually. To be honest, I would start my V.A.T.S journey with stealth gameplay to prove my point. But Bethesda dudes should reverse this change, I think. What about you? Tell me in the comment section. Now let's move on to perk adjustments, but here everything is about cone of fire reduction, which is great I think, but I need to test it like on V.A.T.S, not here. I mean there is no point to talk about these adjustments. Beth has adjusted health issues and resistances of some mobs, but we need to see numbers to understand what's going on here. By the way, no idea why they nerfed Deathclaw attacks. Why Bethesda, why? Perk card changes. By the way, if you are still here, you're my personal hero. Okie dokie, Slugger combo affects power attacks, deals more damage and deals more damage to crippled enemies. And as you can see, expert and master versions work only with blunt weapons. Gladiator combo affects damage from bleeding and the swing speed of bladed weapons. Iron Fist scales with damage resistance, and this is kinda unexpected. Obviously still works with fist weapons. Now Heavy Gunner combo, new name, Drum Corps. Gain 1 stack of Bullet Storm for every 50 ammo spent up to 10 stacks. Each stack increases damage by 3% or 6% or 9%. Let's see more about Drum Corps. This perk grants the ability to gain a stacking buff based on ammo spent. The buff increases the damage you deal, and other perks can add additional effects. You can have up to 10 stacks of Bullet Storm and they last until you change weapons or reload. Wow. As for now, this is a word nuts and totally has no sense at all. But okay, moving on. Heavy Gunner Expert. New name, Deadly Wound. Point cost 2, weapons spin up faster. And that's all? Heavy Gunner Master. New name, Bring in the Big Guns. Cost 3. Your Bullet Storm stack limit is doubled. So only quad miniguns gonna benefit from this crappy combo, right? Okay, Lock and Load. Point cost 2. You keep half of your Bullet Storm stacks when you reload. Each stack increases reload speed by 1%. Well, actually the only weapon that's gonna feel quite comfy with these perks would be Quad Cut Laser with Power User Rate. Bare arms. Each stack of Bullet Storm increases your bash damage by 5%. To be honest, I wish it could work somehow with Shredder, would be just epic. Pain Train. Improved hit detection and limited hit rate. Counts as a fist weapon, increased base damage and damage per rank. Uses 5 action points per hit. So, Iron Fist scales with your damage resistance. In power armor you can have 1k like super easy. This should be epic, I guess, but I don't know. Bow before me. 20% or 40% armor pen and 10% stagger with bows or thrown melee. Okay. Archer. New name, Hat Trick. Arrows and thrown melee weapons bounce towards an additional target, dealing 80% damage. The damage is reduced 20% each bounce. Bounce range is based on the weapon's range. Mamma mia. Archer Expert. New name, Deal Sealer. Point cost 2. Okay. Deal 10% damage for each impairment your target has. Death Note. Impairments are crippled, bleeding, burning, poisoned. This info is shown in the P-Boy Effects tab. Archer Master. Arrow and thrown melee weapons pierce targets. So this means it will go through the target, right? Fire in the hole. New name, Strong Arm. Thrown weapons fly 50% further. The thrown arc effect has been moved to the setting menu. Wow! Look at this. My dear Bethesda, could you please name it Armstrong? It would be funny. Homebody. Improve benefits of being well rested. Well rested grants +2 agility. Kindred Spirit grants +2 perception. Lover's Embrace grants +2 charisma. What about +2 intelligence? Would be more interesting. EMT. Automatically revive a downed teammate once every 3 minutes and grants them increased healing for 1 minute. Nah, this is BS in my book. Injector. Players you revive have 18 action points regen for 1 minute. Revenant. Players you revive have +25% damage for 2 minutes. Okay. Healing Hands. Players you revive are fully healed. Red Sponge must be deleted from the game. Ninja. Sneak bonus to melee, bows and thrown weapons. Nice. Wait a minute, including grenades? Would be interesting. Psychopath. Hits outside V.A.T.S, refill your critical meter at 5% contribution. Grim Reaper's Sprint. Gain +10% action point regeneration per kill while on a kill streak. I wonder if it is necessary since we have Company T. Bloody Mess. Bleeding enemies you kill have a chance to explode for more damage based on your luck. Wow. Power Armor Reboot. Automatically revive using a Steam Pack while in Power Armor. Cooldown 2 minutes. The random chance was removed and a cooldown added. Hack and Slash. Melee attacks deal 60% of their damage in a small area. So no more explosion. And finally legendary mods. Life Saving. Chance to auto revive increased from 50% to 100%. It is not a chance, but okay. And added a 5 minutes cooldown that is reduced by 1 minute per additional piece. Rejuvenators now adds HP and AP regeneration to the Hunger and Thirst abilities. And in the best scenario we're gonna have 6 hit points and action points regeneration. Choo-choos! The effect has been overhauled to use the Pain Train perk. I think we just need to try it out. Okie dokie, ladies and gents, heavies have been severely nerfed, new combo is crap in my opinion, the rest is fine. but I'd rather try everything out on public test server, cause it must be tested. Big thank you for watching, I will see you later, bye bye bye, bye bye.